आपको enlightened करें. Welcome to Dr. Sonal Kumar.
Thank you. Thank you, Abha. It's very nice to be with all of you. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. As Abha said, I always try to be in touch with my roots as much as I can. And this is another opportunity. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I think the COVID is really given us an opportunity to connect globally and be with each other. And that's the positive aspect of COVID. And I really appreciate it because I have been kind of very busy with connecting with my colleagues in India or South Africa or other parts of the world just to, discuss this, discuss how to take care of each other. And I think as a social psychologist, it is really um, it is really amazing to see that how this uh, crisis, how this pandemic has created this opportunity for all of us to work together, to collaborate effectively. It's not just for, say hi and hello and just a WhatsApp message or a Facebook interaction, but it's more intellectual, it's more effective, it's more beneficial for everybody. We are thinking about each other, and that's what I think I'm going to be talking about in my presentation today. I'll talk more in context to US, that what's happening in US. I know all of you have heard about it and hearing about it on a daily basis. When I call my mother in India, she always says, oh, I see so many cases are there in US and I don't know. But this is what is happening, that we know more about others than about ourselves. And I think this pandemic has kind of created a self-awareness in a sense for all of us. We are thinking about ourselves. We are thinking about people who are living to us. Nobody was talking about these migrant workers just a couple of months back. Did you even know that they exist? I think we did, but we never bothered. Dharavi, for that matter, it has been there for a long, long, long time. But how many of us knew about Dharavi? Now the whole world knows about Dharavi. So I think this pandemic has brought some good in all of us, and uh, we will talk about that and see how, in context to US, what's happening. It's not very different than rest of the world, but we'll talk about that and see how we can connect to it, and how we can help ourselves to work with it. I don't want to use the word deal, because deal for me is a negative word. So I think we need to think about how to work in this situation. What are the opportunities and where to go? I know some of you might say that, oh, you are taking a positive approach and a spiritual approach and trying to avoid this situation. I'm telling you with my personal experience that this is not about skirting this topic. It is about taking an approach which is going to help the humanity, not just create an environment where people are forced to do certain things which we don't want them to do, like the suicide or violence, or the anger or anxiety. We want people to come out of that, and for that we will have to take an holistic approach, that how do we make people understand that what the situation is and how to work in the situation, how to live with the situation, and how to develop a plan for future, have a plan B. Like, now, as Dr. Maitri said, that this is new normal, and how do we deal with this new normal and move forward in a more positive direction rather than going backward and going into the cages where everybody's inside the house and nobody's talking to each other and nobody's doing anything. So we'll talk about that. So this is a I personally think that this coronavirus pandemic is an epidemiological and psychological crisis. It's not just the healthcare issue. It's healthcare in physical and mental aspect. We just cannot say that, okay, fine, when you are dealing with corona or somebody is dealing with corona, then they are just having some physical symptoms we need to be taking care of. I think we need to be thinking about the psychosocial aspect of that very clearly. Just think about it. Just living in isolation, if you are quarantined or if you are shelter in place, or if you get corona and just go to the hospital, living in isolation and fear of that isolation is a huge thing. It has changed people's lives on a daily basis. There's so much job losses in I don't know the current data, but I think in US that the unemployment is like close to 14% or something, which has never been the case here. Financial hardship and grief. Just think about it. I was really devastated, and it really touched me. I saw a 5-year-old baby got corona and had to leave, like going in an ambulance, leaving the parents behind. Just can you think about the situation? Just picture that. It makes it more human. When it happens to others, we realize that, oh, nothing's going to happen to me, and we just move on. But this is very close to our heart, and we need to think about that. Uh, it is going to affect our mental health more than our physical health. Uh, it is putting so many restrictions on us, that people can't go out, people have this fear. I'm talking to my friends here. If you see, the life is as usual. When you go out, you see that corona is more outside the home. Like corona is more inside the house, and outside everybody's driving and going around, and business as usual. But that's not the case. People are very fearful. You sneeze, you go out, you sneeze and you cough, and people run from you. And that's the reality of life. Before, when you sneezed or cough, nobody would bother, but now that is the situation. So this has created lots of fear in people's mind. People are uncomfortable with the situation, anxious in the situation, and very fearful in the situation. And the matter of the fact is that we cannot say that it's happening somewhere else. It's happening in my neighbor's house or my neighboring country, because it is affecting all of us, and it will affect all of us, and we are all in this together. It is like a natural disaster, when infectious diseases happen, they really uproot us from our mediating structures in society. The, we are all part of a society, and we have certain things which protect us all around it. So like when natural disasters happen, like tsunami, somebody talked about, it happens, it really uproots us, the mediating structures between individual and the state. So now, before we said, okay, fine, if I'm in trouble, if I'm not healthy, or if I have any health issues, I'll go to the hospital. But now, if I'm getting a heart attack, I don't want to go to the hospital, because I know what's going on in there. So people are very uncomfortable with the situation. Scientists will develop a therapies. Soon we will see that something will come up, some cure will come up. There will be a vaccine, but the economies will recover. That might not take as long as human health will take, the social status of people will take. We will recover, but the social structures are not easily repairable. Once you distort a social structure, as we all know as social psychologists or social scientists, that it's very difficult to create back that system. So again, we will have to talk about new normal, that when we are repairing the social structure which has gotten disbalanced or uprooted, how we create this new social system which will help us in current situation and in future pandemics. So we'll have to think about that. As far as America is concerned, we have seen lots of economic depressions. We have gone through a couple of economic depressions, and we have come out of it. But how we are going to come out of the social capital depression, it's yet to be seen. Um, uh, the hysteria this corona is causing, it has created lots of burden. We're talking about migrant workers, so much financial burden. So when we talk about India, or we talk about developing countries or developed countries, we think about financial burden, and we say, okay, yeah, there's lots of financial burden. But I cannot tell you. Living in US, I'm realizing that the 38% of our population right now is jobless. That's a lot of people. 38%. They are jobless, because these are the people who were working on daily wages, or were in the food industry or entertainment industry or sports industry, and they're all jobless because nothing is happening. So can you imagine a country which we think, which is a dream country for many, and the people will think, oh, this is such a rich country. There are 38 or 40% people, they are jobless. They are getting laid off. Their jobs are taken away. Can you imagine the financial burden on those people who are dealing with this? And can you imagine the social structure, what's happening to the social structure, because it's got causing lots of hysteria and lot of havoc. Um, we are creating this, I think we are we have created a term for it, which is called coronaphobia. You know, everybody, even if we get out of it, even if we have a vaccine and everybody gets a vaccine and there is a medicine which can take care of it, even then it is not going to leave people's brain. People are going to be um, uh, thinking about it, fearful about it, because as I think Dr. Zani mentioned, that there are stories and there are theories that it might go on for years and years and years, that it might keep coming back. That is going to create a very different social structure in the community. We will, social scientists will become more and more important, and this is the time for us. This is the time for us to show this word that as social scientists, how valuable we are for the word, because we are going to be helping creating that social structure which is needed to handle this pandemic or any other pandemic coming our way. Um, I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about quarantine to prevent this corona. But there are places, like there are homes where 15 people are living in a home. Yes, they are inside the house, they are with the family, uh, but they are not able to maintain that distance which they need to maintain. Dharavi, like 2,000 cases. I'm surprised that they are only. So I think there are things to deal with. What's hurting us the most, and what is creating this coronaphobia or this fear or anxiety? I think in the past, not there were so many pandemic happened, but we were not, the SARS and this and that, but we were not as affected. And I think it was because of the infodemic was not there. Infodemic is media creating the information for us. You open a TV channel or radio or whatever you hear to, 24 hours, the only thing you hear about is corona, 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 and how bad it is. It is bad, I'm not denying that fact, but this infodemic has spread a very different of, which is really causing lots of racism. I'm sure all of you have heard about the what's going on in US, in other part of the world, to protect one particular race. So, but why is that? That is because people are getting this information which is kind of distorted in certain ways. But I think media, because of the popularity, they try to spice up everything, and they provide the information in a manner which create lots of fear in people's mind. And what people do in fear, we all know that when we are fearful, there are very few kind of reactions come up. Either we get violent, or we get upset or depressed or suicidal. So these are the things happening, and we are seeing it more and more happening in our community. It has created lots of threats and stresses that are shared by a very large number of people. I'm talking in context of US, but I'm sure all of you can relate to it. All of you can say, oh, this is happening here too. This is happening in my neighborhood too. So we have created different, lots of threats and different cultures within communities or outside communities or societies. They are dealing with it in different ways. Although this threat unites humankind, it also highlights inequalities and foregrounds some culturally shaped ways to respond while de-emphasizing and devaluating others. Why this racism is happening? Because people are getting to know each other, getting to know themselves, but it's creating that push and pull, because it's a matter of survival, that who survives. Uh, while it highlights our common identity as vulnerable humans. Like we thought human race is the most intelligent race in the world, but now it's coming out that how vulnerable we are. how a fear can enter in our brain and affect our whole livelihood. Uh, it also fans the flame of negative cultural representation of minority groups, especially that we look at the minority groups and we say, oh, you know, they don't take care of the hygiene, or they are not intelligent, or they are not literate, they don't know how to take care of it. Like Dr. Maitri was talking about that ad where this atta maker was saying that if your servant does the atta, then there is some, it becomes dark, and if you use this machine is clean. Those kind of things are coming out more because what's happening, it's a matter of survival. We are trying to see uh, who can survive in this community, and we are trying to find ways to blame others for whatever is happening around us. As it spreads, I'm telling you, more and more cross-cultural comparisons are going to come and will happen in people's mind, because that's how human mind works. The spread of this virus and coping with this impact is affected not only by the population demographics or health status or healthcare characteristics, but also by cultural factors related to privacy, physical privacy, optimism, altruism, or the structure of social networks. Some communities where people are more spiritual, you know, they are being positive about it. They think, oh, we have seen it, God is there, he'll take care of us, and be positive and do mindfulness. And we're reading more and more articles coming out about it. And it depends basically what culture you belong to, and you are taking those cultural measures to take care of your health, take care of your neighbors, take care of your family, and those cultural values and belief system is really helping people. But and every culture is seeing, like, like all over the world, we are dealing it with in a different manner, although we are in this together. So in USA, it has caused lots and lots of anxiety, because people never thought about that we are going to face anything like this. And another thing was that because we are such a rich and prosperous country, that we thought, oh, anything comes our way, we can handle it. Nobody thought about that, because we had so many, natural disasters happen and we can take care of it. So many times pandemics happened, we took care of it. And I think that is why we were little reluctant in the beginning to not get on it and take care of it from the beginning itself. We said, oh, nothing will happen to us. We are safe, we'll take care of it. And this is another cultural factor, the different culture protect and put a shield around them based on their personal values and belief system and their economic status. Can you imagine that? Like, I know we don't talk about culture and economic status at the same time, but that is a huge part of the culture. So now I'm seeing recently that there's lots of articles coming out. You Google, and you'll find everybody's talking, okay, do the mindfulness to take care of corona, eat well and meditate, or some are saying count your blessings. But lots and lots of articles are coming out. But as a psychologist, I think we are missing the bigger picture of how traumatic recent events have been. How many people across America are suffering, or all over the world for that matter. If I talk about US, many Americans are forced to go down to the lowest level of Maslow's hierarchy. They're all struggling for their survival. And I know it is surprising to some of us that how can that be, but that is the truth. Many, many, many Americans are at the lowest level of Maslow's hierarchy. They're really struggling for their survival. So many people are getting laid off. Unemployment rate is higher than ever. Small businesses are barely managing them, surviving. And as I said, the people who work in entertainment industry, sports industry, some service organization, not healthcare, but other service organizations, their economies are severely impacted. and because they are forced to discontinue their services, like simple thing, like now we have opened a bit, like we have something, certain things are open, and you won't believe, when the salons open or the barber shops open, there was a huge line, and we are following lots of process for getting in, like wherever you go, if you go to a barber shop, they will come out, they will take your temperature, and you have to have your mask on, you have to have your gloves on, and it's very sanitized, and they will be having gloves on, and you wait in your car, and then they will call you in. Lots of things are happening, people are trying to do, but so many businesses have closed, you know like, 40% people surviving for their struggling for their survival. Can you imagine, in a country like US? So this is what is happening here. uh, Schools are closed all over. Now I think some schools are saying in US that the kids might have to repeat their whole year, and some schools are saying that okay, you can come back, but at we don't take any guarantee. So it's up to parents. If they want to send their kids to school, send them to, otherwise keep them home and let them take online education. Universities are following certain rules, and they are saying okay, like Yale University said that we will have in fall, because they have only 2 semesters, so they said in fall we will have the freshmen, and in spring we will have the sophomore coming in. So many universities are doing online classes and online teaching, and basically telling students that we will make we will take care of certain things, but you have to take the responsibility of yourself. Parents will have to decide whether kids need to be at the school or not. So this is lots of burden on everybody. Just think about 18, 19, 20-year olds, and that can tell you the psychological state they are in. Domestic violence has increased quite a bit. There are lots and lots of cases. Divorce rate has increased in US quite a bit. So these are some of the social changes in the US society. As far as economy is concerned, the people across the span of wealth are suddenly feeling financially insecure, no matter who you are, where you are, how much you are making. It is tough for people. Some people are struggling to even pay their mortgage or get the food on table. I can The one example, and I think all of you might have seen it, or some of you might have seen it, that when all this happened and we closed down everything, there were food banks which were open. Okay, and the first day when a food bank, I live in Pittsburgh, when the first day food bank was open in a community, the line to get the food was miles and miles long. I know this picture we have seen, we can picture developing countries or underdeveloping countries having that picture or scene going on. But in a country like US, we face that there were lines were miles and miles long, where people were standing for the food and getting the food. Um, Essential priorities are in direct conflict. Just think about it. If there are two parents who are working, okay, one person loses a job, and other person either working in healthcare, or or a truck driver, or works in post office, or works in any kind of food delivery services, they have to go to work. Okay, as a parent, or we want to protect our kids. As a child, we want to protect our parents, and now the conflict is there. I have to go to work because I need money to to feed my children. Can you think about the level of the level of anxiety and level of confusion going on in their life? Feeling of helplessness. What should we do? Like, we are asked to do nothing, just be at home. Okay, do whatever you need to do inside the home. So that feeling of helplessness, like, as a social scientist, we cannot just sit at home and not worry about it. We have to do something about it, and that something is going to come out with collaborative effort. So we need to really work together to get out of this. That, like, yes, we are all sheltered at home, we are all quarantined and or whatever, but I think we need to be working together to come out. I try to bring out my little consulting approach in there, more than the academic approach. So I think theory is theory, but we really need to think about how practically we can come out of the situation. And that's where our role becomes more important. And it is not even our professional responsibility. I think it's our ethical and moral responsibility to really work collaboratively and develop a structure, develop a plan together to come out of it, because all over the world we are in this together. So we need to create a system which can help us with this pandemic and other pandemics. um, unless we are aware of this and addressing it in a strategic way, this may lead to tragic outcomes. And outcomes are already we are seeing in so many places. As I said, domestic violence has increased, divorce rate has increased, suicide rates have increased, and societal tendencies have increased, because people just don't know what to do. They are feeling helpless. Their thing is, okay, if I don't work, then I can't take care of my family. And if I can't take care of family, then what's the point of me living? So these kind of scenarios are becoming very common. So we need to be working together, because our way of life is based on trust and connection. No economy can work in isolation, and especially after globalization, we cannot just say, okay, I'll just take care of myself and I don't have to worry about others. Our way of life is based on trust and connection, and these invisible threads, um, they bind us. They create the foundation for a strong economy. So we need to work together. We need to collaborate. No government can take care of themselves alone. We need to create a system around us, and for that we need collaboration. We cannot be in defense mode all the time, because that will have some second order effects, as we know. So we cannot be in defense mode all the time. Uh, if we want to make our strong economy strong, hoarding is not going to help. If we keep just supplies in our home because, oh, I want to make sure I have enough food, or in US we have enough toilet paper, that's not going to help the economy. So hoarding is not going to help the economy, and it's just going to create a cycle of fear and preventative deprivation. That we don't need that. We need something which can help us grow the economy. uh, we have to think about seeking safety, but in fact creating the very condition for, but what we are doing in turn, by hoarding, by just being selfish about certain things, by not paying attention to collaboration or working together as a community, or thinking about the connections, I think what we are doing in turn, we are really creating a condition for economic collapse. And that is not going to help. So the first thing we can do as social scientists and as community or societies in different parts of the world, to collaborate and create an environment where we can not just the environment, but a plan to create that environment where we can create a structure to make our economy solid and give it a solid base. It is challenging. It is very challenging, but I think we need to be analytical about it, and we need to be strategic about it. Just keep talking about corona, 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 what's going to happen, or talking about things that corona can do this or that. It's not going to help us. We need to be very strategic about it at this point of time. We need to move our thoughts from fight or flight system into the highest plane of who we are. We are the human beings. We have the intellect, we have the brains, and we have to use that rather than blaming, rather than just worrying or being anxious or being selfish. We need to consider our deeper values. We need to think about, we are human beings, what are our values, what are our belief system. We really need to think about that, and how can we make hard decisions right now. you know um, we will have to make hard decisions. We will have to do things which we may not have done before corona, or don't want to do, but we'll have to make those hard decisions to prevent social and economic collapse. Certain decisions we had to take. We had to take, this all quarantine or isolation or shelter in place. We had to do all that. These were big decisions. Could we think about it that the whole world is going to be closed for a certain period of time? We could never think of that in our life. So we did make those hard decisions. Okay. So now we have to make the hard decisions to really prevent the social and economic collapse. We need to be intentional and relentlessly creative. We have to think out of the box. We have no choice about it. We can keep talking about data. We can keep talking about statistics. We can keep talking about the side effects or, every negative thing which can come our way. But we have to be creative. We have to think out of the box about it. How do we do that? Like now that we are connecting with each other, we are sharing our thoughts, we are sharing our knowledge, we are sharing our concerns together. So continually connecting with each other using all modes available to us. This technology helped us that way. That there was a time when the SARS and all that happened, people were not that connected. Fine, it was not that widespread, but technology was not as much. Now we are using technology for so many things, and I want to say the technology is not WhatsApp and Facebook and just forwarding jokes and the messages and quotes to each other, but technology is there to use it for these purposes, where we can connect with each other, we can talk to each other, we can really understand each other, that what's happening in each of our words. Because as Dr. Maitri mentioned, that when we talk about new normal, that new normal is very different for different people. Depending on where you are, at what age you are, what profession you are, what geographic location you are, that is very different for everybody. So I think we need to be connecting with each other, understanding each other, getting to know each other, and then finding ways to be productive again in new roles. We cannot be just sheltered in place and not do anything. So we need to be really tapping on those existing strengths and doing business that will hold our economy stable through this crisis. It has affected societies and economies around the globe and will permanently reshape our world, no doubt about it. The post-COVID is not going to be the scenario which was before COVID. So it is going to reshape our world, and it will continue to unfold for, I think, many, many, many years to come. And we will be talking about, this is like history for us. It will be a history for us in some time, and we'll be talking about for generations and generations, though, because it is going to shape everybody's world. Just think about it. If you have a child who is in college, or if you have a child who's a teenager, or who's a child who's a 2-year-old, can you see the impact going so far? So this will unfold for generations and generations to come. While the fallout from the crisis is both, amplifying familiar risks and creating new ones, change at this scale also creates new openings. And we need to pay attention to that. We need to think about how we take advantage of the situation. I know it sounds really, what are you talking about? We are all so anxious and worried, and you're talking about taking advantage of the situation. Yes, we need to take advantage, create new openings for managing systemic challenges. We cannot work in our silos. We cannot just say that I'm a sociologist, I'm a psychologist, I'm an economist, and I am epidemiologist. We cannot say that. We have to work together to deal with that systemic challenge and create systems which will work in this pandemic and coming, or if we, God forbid, we deal with any other pandemic. And we'll have to build back together. We just cannot keep talking about, oh, so bad, so bad, so bad. We just cannot talk about that. This crisis requires, or any crisis requires, large scale of behavior change. Just think about it. Just think about your family or your organization. When a crisis happens, what do you do? Yes, we do cry, we get upset, we get anxious, we are fearful, but what happens? We get together, isn't it? And then we have to change certain things based on the crisis. We have to change certain behavior. If somebody is sick, we change our behavior. If somebody dies in our family, we change our behavior. So Any kind of crisis, big or small, requires large scale behavior change and places significant psychological burden on individual. That's the reality of any crisis, whether it's small or big. So for better dealing with the psychosocial issues of different strata of the society, psychosocial crisis prevention and intervention models need to be created. Who is going to create that? We, the social psychologists, social behaviorists, we need to create those intervention models. This is the high time. Why? First of all, if I become selfish, then I might say this is the high time and good time to create those models because we have lots of data available, lots of information available. After some time, nobody will be like, once we get out of it, once there's a vaccine, and I think once the vaccine comes, people are going to be a little relaxed. A medicine comes, people are going to be a little relaxed because they will think, okay, now we have a cure. But it is not going to happen just tomorrow. We have a couple of years to we'll have to work in this situation. So we need to really take advantage of this situation and say, okay, we have so much data available, so much information available, so much technology available. People are trying to connect with each other. They're eager to connect because they have time to connect with each other. Just imagine if you were going to college and taking your classes in a college or university or schools, how many of us had time to sit down at this time and connect with each other? We will be going on with our lives as usual. So take advantage of this time because we have so much available to us which was not available post-COVID. So we need to create the prevention and intervention models, and we need to do it together. The government, the social psychologists, the social behaviorists, the healthcare personnel, the other stakeholders, economists, everybody need to come together at the same table at the same time. Hard thing to do, very hard thing to do. But even this webinar, could you imagine before before COVID? No, we could never imagine that we can sit in all over the world in different locations in Saudi Arabia and USA and India and all that and discuss this topic or connect with each other. No, so we never thought about that. So I know this is tough. It is tough to be at the same table at the same time, but that's what is needed to do. So the table doesn't need to be very big. The table can have 5 people or 500 people. So it's up to us that how we try to connect and how we are trying to reach people. We need to take care of all the information channels available to us. Internet services, technology, social media. We need to use it appropriately. So if we are in journalism, if we are in media services, I think we need to be really appropriately using these channels because they create more panic, more fear. Yes, they provide information. I don't deny that fact. They do provide information and very valuable information, but just for the PR and TRP, they try to create more panic, more fear, more anxiety in people's mind. We need to use these channels to create the positivity in that environment. Okay, this is what is happening. So we give the real information, then also tell people that how to work with it, how to deal with it, how to create a system around you so you don't get affected by it negatively. Psychosocial preparedness by setting up mental organization is another important, very important aspect. Even in US, we talk about mental health. It's much better here in this country, but still we don't have enough hospitals where we can take care of mental health related causes. But we need to create that because whenever any pandemic happens, whenever any natural disaster happens, we always talk about the physical problem, physical issues. Okay, that somebody is sick, somebody is coughing, somebody has fever, somebody has broken a leg or a hand. We always talk about these things. We don't talk about the psychological impact of these pandemics, whether infectious pandemics or natural disasters. So we need to be thinking about how do we prepare our system for mental health issues, the psychosocial issues. I know, I grew up in Kanpur. I'm an Indian. I know that in India, one example. So my father was not doing well, and I was calling and his treatment was going on, and I was telling everybody, and I said, I think Papa is depressed. You will not believe the reaction I got from my family. What are you saying? That can be da 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 da. Like everybody was like, that just cannot happen. Like depression does not exist. It does exist. We need to create an environment and educational environment in our community where we can teach people, we can share with people that mental issues are real issues, psychosocial issues are real issues, and nobody is going to do it. We will have to do it. We will have to give our profession enough importance ourselves first for others to realize our importance. So it's very important that we start talking about it and we start having these open conversations. We are very fearful of having these conversations in certain communities, and we need to talk about it. In US, we have lots of resources where we take care of, and every hospital has and lots of research is going on, but still there is a lack of awareness or preparedness about the psychosocial issues. So we need to be working on that. And I think this pandemic has given us that opportunity to really think about that and create systems around us. Um, I know when we talk about Corona, everything sounds so negative. But I have noticed, and I'm sure all of you might have noticed too, a lot of creativity and out of box thinking. Isn't it? I'm like, but if you are using Facebook and WhatsApp or Twitter or Instagram, you must be noticing that people are doing different things which they never did before or could not do before because they did not have time, So I think it's important for us to tap on that creativity, tap on that out of box thinking and take advantage of that so we can maintain the equilibrium and sanity. People, most human beings, I would say all, but I'll say most human beings are intelligent people. So I think when people are thinking out of the box, when people are in that mindset
Ma'am,
to think out of the,
ma'am, sorry for interruption. I would
yeah,
gently request you to conclude. We are running little.
yes, okay, yes, I'm almost there. I'm almost there, almost there, almost there. So I think we need to really consider that how we tap that. We need to, because people have time, we need to be reflecting, use that time to reflect and reconsider. So we can speed up innovation, we can speed up creativity, we can connect by using different modes of technology, as I said. It has This epidemic has made us little modest and accepting, and I think this will help us with mutual understanding and collaboration. So we should think about collaboration, and it has also provided a cleaner environment for us to breathe and clear our heads. So I think take advantage of that. I think it's high time for us behavioral scientists to collaborate beyond their disciplinary boundaries and develop strategies and models, not to solve the current issues, but all future pandemic issues. Um, Being a positive person, I would like to emphasize that it has a dark side, but it has positive side as well. Since all opportunities require a quite fundamental change in how we approach the world, seizing them can take substantial time, but I think right now is the time to we need to seize them. And bigger crises ask for bigger behavioral changes. So that's what we need to be focusing on. So this is all not dark. This is giving us some opportunities. It's like a blessing in disguise. It is giving us some opportunities to really think out of the box, be creative, and create a place for us, social behavioral scientists in the community, by creating a system which can help people work in these kind of situations which create lots of anxiety and fear and depression. Thank you.